You are crushing it with micro events. So I want you to walk me through and tell me exactly why micro events, and then give me all the tricks to go run the best ones.
I think micro events really serve three purposes. It's to connect with your audience, right? You know, the people that you already have in your sphere. It is to nurture your pipeline and really grow your database with like-minded people. So I love meeting the friends of my raving fans. And I think really the starting point, and I think you've talked about this before, is knowing who you want to serve. So back in 2018, right as I was coming to Keller Williams, I was working an open house and a woman named Kari came in. She was wearing very similar shoes to me. They were Rothy's. We're now really good friends. When I met her a few weeks later, or a couple days later, for her buyer consultation, it was she was moving from San Francisco to Chicago to work for Google. So I met her at her office. We had the same bag. We just automatically had a lot in common right from the start. And I was working on my goals for that year, and I realized I didn't need to continue to work 4 open houses a weekend to try and connect with everyone in Chicago. I just needed to meet 30 women exactly like Kari. So at the time, she was in her, early to mid 30s, first-time home buyer, had a budget of around $500,000. We had a lot of the same interests. She is a type A woman, working in consulting, tech, law. So I got at that point super clear on the women that I really wanted to connect with. So at that point, I decided in order to meet more women like Kari, I needed to create events that would attract them to me.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, walk me through some of these type of events, because I want you to imagine I'm sitting out there. I've never done a micro event. That micro just means less people. Is that how you think about it?
Exactly. So I get super overwhelmed by the idea of like a 100-person event. And so I really keep these events to 15 to 20 people, sometimes as little as 5. And it's all centered around an activity of value. So the ones that we have coming up are wreath-making, holiday mixology for cocktails or mocktails, breath work, a holiday house walk, just buying tickets to that and getting a group together. And then another one that I just did that I loved was a clothing exchange. So we got 20 women together. Everyone brought like things that they're no longer wearing. And we just, in a very sustainable way, like exchanged them. And it was an amazing event.
These events all have something in common, which is there's an activity or a purpose, which probably takes the pressure off of having to be the life of the party.
Exactly. Yes. A great book on this is actually The 2-Hour Cocktail Party by Nick Gray. And that's exactly what these are. They're 2-hour cocktail parties on a Wednesday or Thursday night, all centered around some activity.
The book that you mentioned happens to be on my bookshelf. And the thing I liked about it was it's this idea that you can build big relationships with small events. And the primary reason is because you can connect with the individuals. This isn't a question of the number of humans that you're contacting. It's a question of how deep the connection is going to go, often based on a shared experience or hobby, because those are the people you connect with.
Exactly. And I want to meet people exactly like my raving fans. And so when the raving fans come to an event, my goal for the wreath-making, for example, is to have 10 of our database and 10 of their friends. So everyone's always invited to bring a friend. And I don't even ask them to bring someone who, might be transacting in the next year, but they do it automatically. They'll bring someone, hey, she just got engaged. I know they want to buy a place next. Or, hey, they just had a second baby. They're going to be growing out of their space. So my clients, without even being told, are trying to help. That they see the value in these events and they want to give back by bringing someone.
I want to use the wreath event as an example. And what I'd love for you to do, can you walk me through from concept to whatever the post close is? Walk me through, how do I go and do this? What do I think about? What's step one?
Step one is to get clear on your audience and who you want to serve. So for the wreath event, it is the women that are more similar to me in their 40s. Step two is just deciding on an activity that they're going to love. And for the wreath event, I've done that 5 years in a row now. I love the craft events because people just love getting their hands dirty. And so we'll go to a boutique in this case, and they'll have all kinds of flowers and, stems laid out with a like frame where you craft your own wreath. And it takes about an hour and a half. It's super fun. They get to bring it home. That one costs about $100 per person. And so it's about a $2,000 event. I get all of it sponsored except for $500. So I want my cost to be about $500. So to kind of walk you through, it's deciding on the audience, it's deciding on the event. Usually I'll see something on Instagram or walking around town, and, I just think that looks fun. So how the wreath event started was I saw these being advertised and you can buy tickets to them. So if someone, wanted to do this and didn't want to just plan it themselves, buy 4 to 6 tickets to an existing holiday event that's already happening in your community and invite 3 of your raving fans and 3 of their friends. So after, I've nailed down the date with the boutique or with the activity provider, then I start really, it's all about spreading the word. So I created an event on Eventbrite. I like Eventbrite just because there are free things that you can use, but Eventbrite, you can collect name, address, phone number, email. So I want all of those pieces of information. And I set it so that like the person that I text the link to can only register themselves. They have to forward the event to their friend. So I don't want them buying 2 tickets. I want their friend to register as well.
So, because you want to capture their information.
Exactly.
Smart. Okay.
And I bring Phil Jones's exactly what to say language into the text invite because I'll say something like, hey, Jenny, I can't believe it's been a few months since you closed. We're hosting this wreath event on December 3rd. Who do you know that would love to join us? We'd love to see you and a friend. So just keeping it really simple. So I make the Eventbrite invite. I text it to kind of that probably top 50 to 100 of those women in that group that I've already identified. So why I stick to kind of one avatar is I want to invite people that are going to have something in common with each other. So the events kind of become this community within the event where people now come to a lot of the events. They've met people through them, like they're becoming friends with each other. And so like you said, it takes the pressure off me. Like I can have a conversation with everyone there, but they're doing an activity, they're talking to each other because they have something in common. So
okay, so spread the word. So now you got your invites, they've registered. What happens next? So
at the event, it's really all about it doesn't feel like a real estate event. I mean, there are often sponsors like a mortgage lender. We're an attorney state, so an attorney will sponsor. But I basically stand up at the beginning. I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Meg Daday from Keller Williams. Our team is Heyday Homes. We love supporting other local women-owned businesses and building community. Sometimes I'll give a very short, 30-second market update, inventory in our area is still very low. We're helping people prep for the spring market, which begins right away in January. We're so excited to see you and, can't wait to see your wreath. Something very simple. And then post-event is where kind of the real estate comes in a little bit more. I send a Loom video of a market update for their neighborhood. So
for each individual person?
It depends. So if there's a, where the event was, I live in Bucktown. A lot of my events are held in Bucktown. So, a lot of times where the event is, a lot of them are from the neighborhood. So I'll just do that specific neighborhood, or I will do kind of 3 neighborhoods that the attendees came from.
This is the first time, gang, that anyone has said that on this show, and we are well 100 episodes in. Genius. A Loom video of a market update for the guests. So now they've had a great time. You're hitting them with a piece of education, but you're keeping your face front and center in a video format. That's brilliant.
I love Loom. It's such a great tool and super easy. So if someone's not familiar with it, it's just a screen share. So we have InfoSparks through our MLS. And so it's a very short market update of here's, what's happened in the last 12 months in Bucktown. And I text the link to them, or usually I'll do a text follow-up as well as an email follow-up with that link.
That's so smart. And then that has to elicit a response. If someone wants to talk about real estate, that opens the door wide open.
Exactly.